Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you today with another edition of Stout Sunday. And joining me this morning, we have Michael Kormaroff from Brooklyn. Good morning, Michael. And we have the one, the only Ronald J. Terrio, Louisiana Beer Reviews, going under the alias Louisiana Dark Ale Reviews today.
Hello, people of the world.
So, all right. What's everybody drinking this morning? Michael, what you got?
I have a Victory Java Latte, which is an 8.2% cold brew milk stout. And let's see what they do say about it. It's made with Pilsner, Munich, chocolate, roasted barley, and oat malt. And experimental HBC 472 is the hops they use. There's lactose in this.
It's interesting. We were talking about this right before we started. We do get Victory here in Georgia, but I only see the 12-ounce bottles and cans. It's kind of interesting that they have that's a 16-ounce can, right?
It's in a limited release series, so maybe it's just something which they have like a separate portfolio of some limited release. I have not seen a lot of this type thing with Victory, though. It was kind of unusual for me.
All right. Ron, what are you drinking this morning?
Yeah, we don't get any Victory beers anymore. I used to like so many of their beers, like Monkey Fist and all of that, but
we still do. Thankfully, one of my favorite sours is actually from Victory, the Sour Monkey.
Yes,
which is a 9.5% sour ale. It's really good.
I think what happened was just people weren't buying it, you know. Oh wait, Monkey Fist wasn't from Victory, was it? It was from Shipyard or something, but it was something like that.
Victory had the Golden Monkey and the Sour Monkey.
Yeah,
I know you had both of those.
Yeah, I had a lot of Victory beers, and I felt victorious drinking them. But then I felt defeated when they stopped selling them anymore.
Right.
Well, I have a beer that's been sold in Louisiana for a long time, and it's from Spezza Brewing, which David Garlapete and I toured in 2018. And it's called Shiner S'more Chocolate and Marshmallow Ale. It's not a stout and it's not a porter. It's 5% alcohol and 20 IBUs. It's supposed to taste like a s'more, which is graham cracker, chocolate, and marshmallow. You know, everything these days is flavored this and flavored that. So,
right.
An ale brewed with marshmallow and chocolate and with natural flavors added. So it does have actual marshmallow and actual chocolate in it.
And that's one of the ones that I've always wanted to try. We do get Shiner beers here, obviously, but I've never seen the Shiner S'mores. That would be one that I would definitely love to try. My favorite Shiner's beer that I don't think they make it anymore, was the Shiner Prickly Pear.
I saw it yesterday in the store. I saw it yesterday in the store.
So they are making it again because they did stop production for a while. I'm pretty sure.
Back. Look at this.
Oh, maybe I'll be able to get my hands on that. All right. Ooh, just in time. Robert the Whiskey Scout is joining us this morning.
Morning, Robert.
Good morning.
It's Robert.
We're just getting started. So, you got the KBS Espresso. Huh?
Yeah, I finally found it.
Another one I can't get. Hey, Robert.
Hey, this is the last 4-pack in Wichita, Kansas I could find.
Golly. Hey, Robert, you saw I cashed that little you know what?
Huh?
You saw that I cashed that little you know what?
Okay. No, I didn't, but I have faith you would.
I never heard of such a thing. My daddy was like, I never heard of that either. But other people told me, yeah, that's common knowledge. I was like, not common to me.
You never? Oh, wow, that is weird. I don't.
Well, welcome, Robert. I know you had a long week of work and all that, so it must be nice to crack open a great beer on this Sunday.
Thursday was a day from hell. That's just the best way to put it. Friday was sleep day. Sunday was I got a sinus infection, but
no.
I'm going to attempt this for.
I think the KBS, if anything, it'll help. I mean, it's.
I'm on my. This will make my second. They gave me amoxicillin on Friday when I went to the doctor, and so I do have some taste and nose. Probably not as best as it could be, but.
Right. Okay. Well, we're glad you're here. Okay, so everybody's given their beer except for me. I've got a special beer today. This is from Bumpy Road out of New Hampshire, and I'm drinking. This is his homebrew. This is Trish the Dish Imperial Stout. It's 9.5% alcohol. He said it was somewhere probably between 50 and 60 IBUs. It's Imperial Stout that is infused. It's not barrel aged, but he did put some Pinot Noir wine in here. So it's a Pinot Noir infused Imperial Stout. So this is the first time I've ever done a homebrew stout on Stout Sunday. So anyway, pretty excited. Let's go to the chat really quick. We've got Jeremy in the chat. Cheers to you, Jeremy. We've got Alan from the Eclectic Beard. Says cheers, fellas. And Jeremy says KBS, the beer of choice for sinus infections. All right. Cheers, guys.
You know what's the worst part about doing that homebrew on Stout Sunday?
What's that?
Is if you really like it, then nobody can go out and get it.
That's true. Until Bumpy makes it big one day.
You can tell everybody, man, I'm so lucky to get this beer. I'm so much more luckier than you.
Well, he sent it to some people. It's just fun to do this type of stuff. He sent some to Trish. Obviously, it's named after her. She's such a big wine lover, so he made the stout for her because she loves her wine. And then he sent some to, I think, Drunk. He sent a few out. You might be getting one too, Ron. You might just.
No, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking issue with it. I'm just saying that's the reason I don't.
Right. No, I know.
That's the reason I don't review homebrews on my channel, because people can't get them, and I bet it's almost a problem when I review these obscure Louisiana beers, because it's like, oh man, it's so good, you can't get it, so
right.
Sort of pointless in a way.
By the way, there's the pour. Look at that sucker. That's a good looking homebrew, huh?
Yeah,
so we gotta go back to Michael here with his breakdown.
Okay, this is my pour. It doesn't have quite as feisty a head as John's, just a little small khaki head at the top, but it's looking pretty good. Dark brown in color. Okay, lots of coffee on the nose with roasted malts, some chocolate, getting some sweetness. Let's give it a sip.
Cheers, Michael.
Cheers to you. And damn you,
okay, right off the bat, you get the lactose in it because it's very smooth and the mouthfeel is really like pillowy almost. Very nice mouthfeel. You get the coffee, but it's not in your face coffee. It's more, like dark coffee. There's kind of a little bit of roastiness as well as the coffee. So you're getting the roasted malts with the coffee, which is kind of a nice combination. Seems to be very well balanced. For 8.2, the alcohol is very well masked. You get the sweetness, but it's not, super sweet. So the combination is very nice of the coffee combination with the malts that they've combined it with. This could be a dangerous beer. You have to be careful with this one because it goes down really easy.
Very 8.2.
Very smooth. I really like it. I'll come back and give you a number.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I'll have to look for that since we do get Victory, but I've never seen anything like that before from them. So maybe I'll be able to find it since it's a special release. But I probably have to go to like Peachtree City for that. That's something you probably get at like the package store where they have a bunch of obscure stuff, not at your average grocery store, I would imagine.
It was $2.75 for the can, which I think is okay. I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's
for a 16-ounce can, 8.2%. I mean, that's
it was okay. I was willing to pay it, so it was okay. The stout that I was trying to remember before that Victory makes is Storm King, which I have had in the past.
I had that, but I gave it like a C, but I think it was a dating issue because it was like over a year old and the IBUs on that are relatively high. So I was getting like some weird musky type hop character. So I need to try it again because I have a feeling I didn't really give it a fair shake based on the fact that it was outdated. But anyway, I have had that beer. It was.
I love the Storm King.
You have to get a fresh bottle, John. It's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
I need to try a fresh bottle. All right, let's see. We got Joe Biden's dentures in the chat. Says lots of KBS still on the shelves here locally. It appears that the hype is demonstrably over. Great beer nonetheless. Now, Joe Biden's dentures, are you talking about the regular KBS, or I'm assuming you're talking about the regular KBS because the KBS Espresso was just released
the
about a
2020
month ago, so it would make sense if there were a lot of those on the shelf still. But Robert, you can still get the regular KBS, right? In your area?
I still get both the regular KBS and the CBS is still hanging around in a few spots. I just don't think it's as popular here in Kansas as it is in other areas. I mean, it's still $20 a 4-pack. I mean,
same story here, but it's $21.98 4-pack here.
yeah, it's
I think I'm starting to think that maybe it's more of a distribution thing, like they send a much more limited supply here because it goes so quickly. It seems like y'all they distribute a lot more to certain areas and then it sits on the shelves a little bit longer. But here, it's gone quick here. Like it sells out and I can't find it after about 3 weeks being on the shelves. It's gone.
I know the guys at Burgart, they told me first year, 2 years ago when they first ordered it, they ordered, I forget, an ungodly amount, got rid of it all. The following year, they ordered the same amount, and it lingered and lingered and lingered. And it was like it was over the hype. It was over. Yeah. This last year, 2019, when they ordered, they only ordered half of what they normally ordered, and they still got that on the shelf. I think half of them was like, if I remember the numbers, but don't quote me on it, I think he said he ordered only 10 or 12 cases for this year. So, and I haven't been in the other place on West Wichita, so I can't tell you, but they had their cases all stacked up front, and they only had about that high little thing of cases of KBS, and next to them was CBS. CBS was about half of what the KBS was. They'd already sold about that, but the KBS is still lingering. This I found in a little liquor store downtown, and Burgart, where I normally go to buy this, just keeps telling me we're going to get it. We're going to get it. I have never seen it there. And that little liquor store had 1 4-pack.
Nice.
Like,
so this is your first. Is this the first one out of the 4-pack?
Yes.
Okay, first time. All right.
You're getting.
Sorry, Michael. What were you saying?
I was going to say Robert grabbed it fast, figuring that the other place may never get it.
Yeah. I walked immediately to the front. This was a no-brainer.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's go to. We've got Blake in the chat as well. Happy Sunday to you, Blake. Thanks for stopping by. We've got to go to Mr. Ronald Terrio next with his S'mores Dark Ale.
Yeah.
We'll call it a stout because it's Stout Sunday, and in the spirit of Stout Sunday, we'll give it.
You can see it's not a stout. Look at it.
Yeah, it's reddish.
It's brown. It's a brown ale. Come on. There's the thick foam, but it does leave some thick lacing. It's just settling down while y'all were talking, and the aroma is, well, like chocolate and what I call beer flavoring components, like these beer companies, and I'm talking about Macro, Middle Crow, and Micro. They buy these flavoring components from these supply houses, and it is used all around, and so they start to have like a common aroma and flavor. But they use actual marshmallow and chocolate in it, and then with natural flavors added, which that's what that means, that those beer flavoring components. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not like taking an issue with it. I'm just saying that's what it is. It's not going to make you die. So it has kind of like that graham cracker aroma or something, and just a generalized sort of like standard beer aroma. Shiner beers tend to be kind of very standard. Like you have this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that with them, but the underlying flavor tends to be the same. Not to say I'm criticizing that. Their prices are not bad, so you have to take that into account. You can buy a 6-pack sometimes $7.99. The flavor after it settles down. You see, another thing about these flavorings, if you let them set like I did while y'all were talking, they tend to dissipate. Now, I don't know why, but it's like the flavor goes away. And I don't care what kind of flavor beer you've got. And I don't care how expensive it is. You just sit there and notice that. Take note. Take note, audience. Then what you're left with oftentimes, it's just the beer base. And in that case, you could just be drinking Miller High Life. Now,
I've noticed that, yeah, with some flavored beers, like the flavoring aspect of it after one or two kind of fades. I guess your palate kind of gets numb to it, gets used to it. And then, like you said, you just are left with the base beer. That's an interesting. Yeah,
I think Miller High Life always added a little embalming fluid to their beer.
oh, now you see, we always have to have conspiracy theories. And I take issue with that because I think it's always been well known that Miller High Life is controlled by the Illuminati. You know? And I can wait. I can back that up. And here's the evidence. I heard somebody say that once. You see, so I heard it. So somebody said it, it's probably true because I know one time somebody told me that Old Crow was nothing more than Jim Beam aged 3 years. And I said, do you have evidence to that effect? He said, yeah. I said, what is it? He said, somebody told me. I said, oh. And I felt so ashamed because, I mean, that's a hard source right there. Anyway, I mean, if you want to pay $1.79 for it, go ahead. But, you know, yippee-ki-yay, mother father.
Hey, Joe Biden's denture says that he loves, or well, he doesn't say he loves it. He says he's seen it locally, so it's great to see it reviewed by the GOAT of YouTube beer reviewers. And then Sut, he's always ranting about this. He says he won't drink a flavored beer, nothing artificial for him, just his hams and his special edition Budweiser aluminum bottles.
Wait, it's all natural flavorings.
That's right.
If you're a real, John, if you're a real beer reviewer, you have to be willing to do flavored beers too.
Sure.
Just to see what they
Right.
are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not my favorite, but I'm willing to taste them.
Put it to you like this. This is something you could drink or not drink. It was better on draft, but it's kind of like not that great. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No, not yeah. I've got some stuff in the fridge. I'm not super excited about reviewing, but I've got the rest of the Bud Light lineup of the seltzers because everybody keeps asking me to review because I've only reviewed the one so far on my channel, and you know those are super popular right now. I'd rather have the Shiner S'mores than the Bud Light, but I'm gonna do it. I'm taking one for the team. I'm gonna review them on my channel.
Yeah,
but,
and I am grading these according to style.
Right, and that's hard to do sometimes because, like, for the seltzers, the lemon lime one, I think I gave it a straight A. But for me personally, would I buy it again and drink it? No, because it's not my forte. Yeah. It's not what I enjoy drinking. It's like it's water. It's alcohol, water.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, yeah, I did 2 Bud Light seltzers, and that was enough for the rest of my life. Look, I am grading it to style, and everybody knows I've tasted 1,001 flavored beers. Okay, what I've noticed is that the 8 to 10% flavored beers, 8 to 10, they hold the flavor much better. I don't know the science behind it because I'm not a scientist, although I watch a number of science fiction movies. I find that when you get below 8%, it somehow it doesn't hold the flavor. It just goes into the atmosphere. But then when you get the Smirnoff Smash and all whatever I've got and the Club Tails, it's somehow that 8 to 10% will keep the flavor held down. This one, it's just like it went away, and now I'm just left with this typical Shiner kind of sweet and sour, kind of ordinary. Be like drinking Shiner Premium, which I don't dislike.
I like Shiner beer. I like plain old Shiner Bock. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
For
So
everyday beer.
right, but then the Bock and the Premium aren't touting chocolate and marshmallow and
Just
campfires and graham crackers. Anyway, I don't want to make a big rant down really. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you to a certain extent with some of those flavored beers. One thing I will say though, and I won't go on a long rant either, but one thing I've noticed, you're talking about the higher alcohol beers maintaining the flavors a little bit better. I think it's because the higher alcohol you have with something, the quicker it dries your mouth out. So there's not that watery aspect that you get with some of these lower ABV flavored beers. So when your mouth is being dried out by all the alcohol, the excess alcohol in the product, the flavor sticks to the inside of your mouth a little bit better. And that's just kind of I don't know. It's just
I agree.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that. I remember watching
because it's more drying. Yeah.
Jay, that's
Anything
another
that
good.
dries your mouth out that's full of flavor like that, it has nowhere to go. So it sticks to the inside of your cheeks a little bit more than a more wet beer, a lighter, watery beer.
sweeter beer. Yeah.
Jay, that's
yeah.
another question to ask you. After the flavoring kind of fades for you, does the beer get more watery?
It's a good question. I think the beer was watery initially, so it just kind of it continued its consistency, which was generally sort of watery all along. So you had a beer that was watery, but it had this flavor. Now the aroma is still there, but the flavor just went whoop. So yeah, it went from watery with the flavor, and very quickly to watery without the flavor. Now, and the whole point I was making is that's not that exciting to drink beer that's watery and doesn't have a lot of flavor. I mean, you can get that here, there, everywhere, right? And talking about science, I know one thing, Red Dwarf, they said that the product, the strongest product in the known universe to cut a chicken vindaloo was lager. They said no product in the universe could cut a chicken vindaloo more than lager. And
I don't know how they figure that. But
that was on Red Dwarf because they had this creature that was made out of chicken vindaloo, and so
oh, good God!
The guy shook 2 cans of lager.
I'm thinking the damn food product. Never mind.
He shook 2 cans of lager and he threw them at the chicken vindaloo creature, and when the cans hit, it exploded and the creature was dissolved.
God, we're into chicken vindaloo creatures. This is getting very heavy duty.
That was on Red Dwarf. All right.
Oh,
all right. Well,
I'll go for that one. Hook, line, and sinker. You got me in a belly hook.
On that note, Robert, we got to go to you with your KBS Espresso. So,
all right. And back to what you said, John. Also, you have to remember alcohol acts like a preservative as well. Alcohol is a natural. It can help preserve a lot of the flavors and stuff going on inside of a beer. So it's going to give you, even in bourbons and so on and so forth, the higher the alcohol content, especially in a bourbon, the more flavors you tend to draw out of it, the more it tends to retain it. And that's just the natural thing. You have to fight through that alcohol wall first before you can get to it. But once you've kind of went over the hump, it sort of then delivers a lot more flavors. And I think the same thing with true with this. This is 12%, by the way. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, man. I'd love to try that beer.
It was bottled on 11/18/19, but they call it a 2020 release. But anyway, because see, I like chicken vindaloo, the meal. I didn't know about some creature or whatever. You probably had me going. So anyway, through my limited olfactory and taste bud senses, the first thing I get on this is It's coffee, 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 coffee. Nose, coffee, more coffee, coffee, more coffee. It's a more fresh coffee sensation going on here. Background, we still get a little bit of the. I still get the roasted molded barley and that they use in there. There is a bit of chocolate in the background, but in all honesty, even now on my nose, it's just strict. I mean, it's just like bombarding you with coffee. Coffee is the number one thing that's going on here. Flavor wise, the same. As we can see, I'm almost done with it anyway.
Yeah.
It's a good coffee, though. It's not a. It doesn't come across like. Kroger special coffee on sale. You brew yourself at home. This is a good coffee, but it's still a very overriding factor. It does have some bitterness that lingers on the side and the back of the tongue. There's a little bit of chocolate backing it up, and then we get the customary roasted malts we expect with the stout. A little vanilla in there too, I noticed. Just a little bit. There's not a lot of vanilla, but there is some vanilla. I don't know if that's probably nothing they've added. It's just something that comes along with the roasted portion of what's going on. But for me, I do, or it comes from the barrels. More than likely, it comes from the barrels, actually. I didn't think about that because it is a barrel. Yeah, it's aged in oak bourbon barrel. So, yeah, that's where our vanilla is coming from in it. But that's all I really get. It's not really overly complicated, very drying right now already. The top of my mouth, the roof of my mouth is drying out. It's more drying than I noticed with either the KBS or the CBS. I have an Imperial, their Imperial Stout. I've had it before, but I've had so many of these now, I can't go back. I'm going to have to go. I bought it just so I could taste it again, so I have a base to go back to because that's the base beer they use for this. So just so I can reference back to that. But that's my analysis of it. It's just if you don't like coffee, you're not going to like this. But if you like coffee, well, I like coffee. Right. This is right up your alley. But don't go expecting a lot of really nuanced flavors here. It's not going to give and this may be a result of me having the sinus infection too. I might not be so susceptible right now to nuances, but
yeah, but it might just be more basic than it is exquisite.
Yeah, but it's doing it right. Now this I got to say, we got to keep everything in its context. If you keep it in its context for a coffee flavored, coffee dominant stout, this is hitting all the buttons. It's hitting all the check marks. I mean, this is what it is what it is. It's stating right there, espresso. So you know what you're getting with this. This is not going to be something like, oh wow, I wonder why I'm getting all these coffee notes in this. No, we know what we're getting with this product. So
right.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, you've got 3 more. So once you're a little bit better, you can try again and see if it changes the profile any for better or for worse.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take my time going through it. Trust me.
So let's see really quick. I'm going to go back to the chat before I go here. Joe Biden's dentist talking about seltzers exploding in popularity. It's the devil's work, he fears. You might be right, JBD. I don't know. Jeremy's talking about the Shiner s'mores. He didn't really care for it too much. I bet you like the s'mores queen a lot better. That's one of the ones he sent me, the s'mores queen stout, which was actually, it drank more like a brown ale, but had some really good flavor to it. And then JBD's talking about H.P. Lovecraft wrote about the chicken vindaloo, I think. Ronald Sutton's talking about alcohol has done a good job of preserving him. So it not only preserves beer, apparently it preserves human life as well.
See?
And then Johnny Tactical was talking about the price of the KBS Espresso in his area. That is pretty expensive. Usually it's like the most I've seen it's $5.99, so $8.99 is really getting up there. Trish, cheers to you.
Yeah.
Trish, you might have been able to join if they were up all hours of last night doing their Wheel of Regret, and I watched a lot of it. It was a good time, but there was a lot of activity going on, so might not be a good idea to drink this early after that night.
Right. And then what happens if we do
Infusion Sunday? I don't know.
Oh no, they'll be in the hospital.
Yeah. Crap it. Brandon says, cheers, stout drinks. Cheers to you, Brandon. Let's see. Jeremy's talking about KBS still hasn't had the espresso version. And yes, Johnny Tactical, the Frangelic Mountain Brown. Although it was not a stout, it was excellent. I really love that.
I agree. I've had my one.
The Underground Mountain Brown. Although I think the Underground Mountain Brown was a little bit better because it was barrel aged and a little bit more body. But yeah,
I like that. That Frangelic, I've had one of those already.
They're
really good.
And that's actually a flavored ale because it says right on the label, flavored with hazelnut. It's not I mean, it's natural flavoring, but it does say right on the label, flavored with whatever. I believe it's hazelnut. It's a natural hazelnut flavor, I guess is what it said on the label.
One to bring to Wild Card Wednesday.
Right.
Cheers to George Washington's wooden dentures. I like this show. Goodness, the names we got here. And then Joe Biden's dentures talking about Sweetwater Georgia Brown. I have not tried that yet, JBD, but I have seen it, so I will definitely check it out. Sweetwater's obviously huge around here because I'm so close to Atlanta. So we get all the different variants, and they have a variety pack right now with the IPA, the Georgia Brown, a peach one, and then one other one. So I'm probably going to pick up the variety pack next week. And then Jeremy's talking about the Lost 40 S'mores Queen. Yeah, it drank more like a brown ale, but you want to talk about really good s'mores flavor. It definitely had the s'mores flavor going on with it. All right, we're all caught up on the chat. Let me get to
before you do yours, let me make a brief comment. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now that Founders has discontinued the CBS, because they're supposed to have a revolving series every 3 months of a new barrel-aged or similar style of Founders beer coming out every season.
That will be interesting.
Yeah. I was told by Larry at the Growler Shop downtown that they're going to release 4 different kinds of KBS. So you got the original, you got the espresso, and then apparently there's going to be 2 other variants of the KBS released later this year. Now, I don't know. I cannot confirm that, but this guy is pretty knowledgeable. He works at the Growler Shop. He knows his craft beer. So I'm inclined to believe that he knows what he's talking about. And I'd be very excited to see what other versions of KBS that Founders would be putting out, because the espresso and the original KBS are both dynamite beers, in my opinion. So it's exciting stuff. All right. So Trish the Dish, Imperial Stout, 9.5%. Courtesy of Bumpy Road. I poured it. It poured with a nice head. It's dissipated now. I've been sipping on it a little bit. The aroma, very roasty, toasty. A lot of roasted malt, like deep roasted malt character on the aroma. Some nice sweetness, almost like a little berry note, which I guess is coming from the Pinot Noir wine, but it doesn't really scream wine on the aroma. It's mostly just a malt-forward aroma. And some nice breadiness, and that's pretty much all I'm getting. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Super bready, super roasty, toasty, dark toasted bread notes in the middle of the sip. There is a touch of sweetness, a touch of it comes across as like a berry note that you get when you do have a really good barrel-aged stout, but obviously this isn't barrel aged, so it's got to be coming from the wine. It's a sweetness, like a berry type sweetness. The finish with this is really, really dry, which Pinot Noir, I don't know a lot about wine, but I know Ron does. So Pinot Noir it's a red wine, but it's a very dry wine. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I'm getting a very dry. a very dry finish with this, and I think that's because of the wine. Now, he did add an entire 750 ml bottle of wine to his 5-gallon batch, so you'd expect there to be some flavor from the wine, and I'm pretty sure he said it kind of upped the ABV by like 0.2 or 3, which for a big 5-gallon batch like that, that's significant. So there's definitely some wine presence there. But it doesn't necessarily just taste like he poured the wine in there. I mean, it's very balanced. It's mostly the stout flavors with just a little extra sweetness and the really drying finish, which I believe is coming from the wine. Because typically stouts, you don't really get a super dry finish. I mean, it's got like a dry finish like Bud Light almost. Like it's really dry on the finish.
How's the alcohol? Is it masked?
The alcohol is actually well masked at 9.5%. That's getting up there, but it is warming going down. So you know that you're drinking a higher alcohol beer, but it is very well masked in the flavor. I really like this. I already did a solo review, but anyway, I sort of know what I gave it, but I will dwell on this a little bit and come back around with the rating. It's great though. I mean, Bumpy does a good job with his home brews. I got to try the Ghost Smoke Teleporter. He sent me that one. I will admit I like that one better. That was just out of this world. The porter that he infused with the chili peppers, it had a nice little heat to it, and I think that the spice really, I don't know, it's kind of like chocolate covered or like the chili chocolates are popular, like the sweet and the heat just go well together. So that was my favorite, but this is excellent too. And unfortunately the other one that he sent me, the Bumpy Touch, which was his clone of the Midas Touch, that one did not make it. The glass busted and the beer it didn't make it. So anyway, let's see. Oh, here we go. The beer guy, you know what? You might be right because that's what I heard, that there were different KBSs coming out, but I didn't hear about the vanilla. So that'll be interesting if they put out a vanilla KBS. Okay, here we go. Here's a question for everybody. If you wanted to introduce someone to the stout style, which beer would you recommend? I would say start light. One that anybody could get would be Guinness, just the Guinness draft.
Yeah, the Samuel Smith ones would work also.
Yep, that would be my choice.
Or
I think anybody would like, because that's not even really like a stout to me. That's like drinking Nesquik almost. It's got like a chocolate.
Yeah, but
it's good. It's awesome, but it's not like a traditional stout to me.
Or Murphy's.
Murphy's would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, Murphy's would be a good choice. But yeah, I would do Samuel Smith Organic or Murphy's or Guinness. Any one of those would be a great starting point.
I agree. You don't want to start drinking KBS.
No.
as your entry level stout, unless you're really, I don't know. There are some people who are willing to go for it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe if you're coming from a bourbon background or something like that, a barrel-aged stout could work as a starting point, but I think you'd want to build your flavor profile on a little more simpler but flavorful stout with less ABV.
I wasn't into stouts at the beginning. I didn't drink a lot of stouts when I first started drinking craft beer, so I have to say it's been a long process.
But now
Michael, you're pretty much done there with that victory.
I know it's really good.
Well, let's go back. Go ahead and give us a final sip and a rating there of the Victory Latte cold brew milk stout.
Okay, I guess the first thing I have to say, as you drink it and as it warms, it's gotten better to me, and it's holding its roasted malt kind of character. The lactose really calms it out and makes it very super smooth. I didn't mention before, but it finishes like semi-dry, and there is a little bit of residual bitterness on the back end, but nothing, doesn't tell you the IBUs. I would say probably maybe 40 or 45 IBUs. It's not a high bitterness beer. I am going to give this a 95. So this is an A beer. bordering on world class, but not quite.
All right, 95 out of 100. I will definitely be on the lookout for that one.
If you see it, you should buy it because it's something I think you'd like.
And that's the Victory.
Victory. Let me show Robert the can. It's called Java Latte.
Okay.
8.2%, and it's a limited release series. I don't know. Do you get mostly bottles and cans if you see Victory? This is their 16-ounce limited release series.
We've only got a couple of versions of Victory here, but I've not seen that one. But if I do, I'll get it.
All right. So an excellent beer from Victory. Most of their stuff has been excellent in my experience. So I'll be looking out for that. We got to go back to Ron with the Shiner beer that continues to elude me, the Shiner S'mores, with his rating on that.
Well, it's good, I guess. Not bad. Certainly not a bad beer. Not a bad flavor.
It's good, probably, I guess.
Very convincing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I could trumpet it. It's about 82 out of 100, I guess. A minus. It's
B minus.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, B minus. It's arguably good.
82. That's one of the lower ratings I've seen from Mr. Terrio there in a while.
It ain't my fault. I didn't make it.
He didn't brew it in his backyard, so
I didn't brew it. I just bought it.
Right.
Oh.
82 out of 100. So now I'm not so sure if I want to try it anymore.
Oh, it's
My goodness.
fine. I mean, $1.79. What the heck? I mean, try it. You know, you might like it. Just get ready for blah.
Yeah, I've seen that. They had a 6-pack that had all of the different Shiners up there, Northwest Kansas, at this liquor store I was popped into in St. Francis. But the dates weren't convincing. They were too close.
Oh no, definitely. You definitely want it fresh.
Yeah, and so I couldn't buy it.
You ever been to the grocery store and bought the store brand bologna?
I've never seen such a thing.
Who's store brand?
Bologna, as in the bologna itself.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah,
Value
you
Time
can find that
bologna or Food Club bologna or Surefine bologna,
Great value.
and say it's arguably good. I mean, I'm eating a sandwich. It's tolerable. It's not even bad. It's not even average. It's just like you say, well, I only paid $1.25. Right. So that's what this is.
It's not flavorful. It's just edible.
So Jeremy says the same thing. Basically, he's had it. He says that's about where he would put it. It's definitely not one that I'm missing out on. Okay,
Yeah.
well, and then he's also talking about Victory. He cannot get Victory in his area either. He used to buy the Sour Monkey all the time. The Sour Monkey is one of my favorite sours. We're talking about it here today. It makes me want to buy another 6-pack. I haven't had it in a while, but that is an Imperial sour for anybody out there who likes sours. I believe it's 9.5%, or it may be straight 9. It's 9 or 9.5, and it drinks like a session sour. It's so smooth and easy going. So yeah, I'd recommend Victory to anybody that can get it. It's unfortunate that their distribution seems to be waning in certain parts of the country. Then we've got Alan that's talking about, I guess he's talking about Founders. He stopped buying Founders for a while, but they've tried to make amends from that bit of stupidity, so he'll be buying some again. Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to take sides when you're dealing with legal battles like that, and you've got like a disgruntled former employee suing the company. I don't know. There's two sides.
It wasn't really hard for me to take sides.
There's the prosecution, there's the defense, and then there's the truth somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, John.
Actually, I didn't find it hard to take sides, to be honest with you. But
Well, no.
My side is they make good beer and they're not, committing genocide or anything. So I'm gonna,
Exactly.
try and-
that's how it starts with beer.
That's how I lose subscribers, right? Okay. All right. Well, I've got or let's see. Robert. Robert
still has to give his
I'll give
number.
it this will be a 96. It's because I mean, it is what it says it is, but
82.
not quite as flavorful. And this again could go back to me having a sinus infection. So we got to keep this into consideration. But it's not quite what I would think a KB. It doesn't come up to the KBS or the CBS standards for me. It's a little less. Not that withheld, this is still an excellent beer. I mean, this is still a really good beer. It's just if you better like coffee. And if you don't like coffee, somebody that doesn't care for coffee, he's just going to drink one of these and he won't even make it through one of these. If you don't like coffee.
I love coffee. I love it.
Well, yeah, but I got a friend, Jeremy. He does not like coffee at all. He would take 2 sips of this. He loves Shiner Bock, but he'd take 2 sips of this and he'd hand me the rest of it. Said, "You're going to have to finish it." I can tell you right now exactly what he's going to do.
I believe it. I believe it.
So it's just not up to his. It's just not in his palate. So not everybody in this world likes coffee, but this is coming through in spades with coffee, and it's drying. It's not quite that silky, luscious mouthfeel I got with the CBS. This is more of a drying on the palate.
Okay. Hey, 96 is still, it's getting up there. I really liked it. I'm glad you got to try it. It definitely is, though, obviously, for if you don't like coffee, then you're wasting your time. But like you said, they put it right on the label. So if you don't like coffee, why would you buy an espresso beer, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so my beer, the Trish the Dish Imperial Stout. Thanks, Bumpy, if you're watching this, which I think Bumpy works Sunday, so he's probably at work right now. Maybe he'll watch later. Thanks for sending me a couple bottles of this. I think it's really an outstanding beer. The alcohol's masked well. The wine adds a little extra dimension to it, a little extra sweetness. It's definitely more on the malty side, not a bitter stout, which that's how I like my stouts anyway. It's really bready, really malty. Alcohol's masked well. So I'm going with 95 out of 100. It's a straight A. It's not as good as the Ghost Smoke Teleporter. That one was out of this world. But this is a solid A beer, and he did a great job with it. He really did. One of these days, you'll have to actually invest in a barrel and do a barrel-aged beer, Bumpy. I think that would be cool. I know, it can be kind of tricky, but they sell those barrel, they sell bourbon, wine, any type of barrel you want. And as a home brewer, I think that'd be cool to try like an actual barrel-aged beer.
Drunken One was telling us he'd like to try it. He says it's more complicated than it looks.
He said it's basic. Well, I don't know if it's more complicated in the sense. It's just it adds an extra step, and at the end you have to literally just sit on it longer. So for a good barrel-aged product, you want to age it at least a couple months. I would say probably, like if you have the patience, I think 4 months would be ideal. And then if you really want to get crazy, you could go 6 months to 8 months. But I think most of the barrel-aged stuff that I've had is at least the good stuff is at least aged for 4 months. Budweiser does Budweiser doesn't do their reserve collection for that long, and their stuff's okay. So, but for the most part,
4 to 6 months, somewhere in there, I think is ideal too. I would like to see someone leave it in there for about a year and a half, just to see if you can go too far with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be interesting because it would give you a basis of. I'd like to see somebody keep aging it until you know that it spent too much time in the barrel, and you know what your wall was when you come to that point. Is that? I don't know.
that makes sense.
Sound like a good idea.
Robert, would you think there would be a difference if you did it with bourbon barrels or rye barrels or Scotch barrels or all would be different?
Yes, the nuances should definitely be different. You should be getting more caramel, and from bourbon barrels, you should be getting more caramel, more vanillas. From Canadian whiskey barrels, you should probably be getting more whatever that 9% prune juice they added to it that gives it that flavor. That should be lingering somewhere in the background. Rye, you should be getting a rye spice, maybe some slight dill notes, some slight mint notes. From a Scotch perspective, you should be getting something along the lines of well, Scotch would be difficult because you got, oh gosh, we could go into this.
Oh boy, here we go.
Highland, you got Highland, Speyside, and peat. If you've aged it in a peat barrel, you should be getting a smoky effect. If you're getting a Highland barrel should be somewhat similar to a bourbon barrel. A Speyside barrel should have some influences of European oak, and you should be getting some sort of dark berries, dark sort of fruits with that one. But that's a whole different ball game. It depends on how many times the barrel's been used. If you use that barrel 12 times by the time it gets to this, good luck. You're probably not going to get much flavoring out of it.
Right.
What's lingered from the whiskey itself. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into that. But yes, I agree with you in some aspects. What I've said has made any sense to you guys.
It did to me.
No, I did read a book about whiskey, and it didn't seem to help my palate, but I do know a little bit about the different, especially you're talking about the Scotches. Scotch has become I love bourbon, but Scotch is probably the most interesting style because of the history, or at least in my opinion. There's so much.
It offers a wider variety of flavors than bourbon. Bourbon's kind of limited. You've had any one bourbon, you can always narrow it down to a bourbon. But if your first Scotch, and if you've never had Scotch before and you went to a party and some guy offered you an Ardbeg and you took one sip of that Ardbeg, and more than likely you're going to be like 99% of the people, you're going to go, God, how does people drink this shit? Your whole perspective of Scotch is going to be based on that. And you're never going to want to try it again. But if you do the vice versa and you go into maybe a good Highland Scotch and you try that and you have a bourbon background, you're going to make certain tie-ins because they use a lot of good first and second fill barrels on some of the better high-end Highland Scotches. And you're going to see subtle similarities there. Then you can build upon that as you go through your journey, per se,
Right.
I was going to say that I used to drink blended Scotch, and I didn't like it. And I've had more single malt Scotch now, and I do like it. I don't know if that's because it's one variety, and that's why I like it, or it's more refined.
Yeah. Blended Scotches were great for blended Scotch. It's blended so it meets a certain flavor profile that's not overly strong in any one direction. And your better blended Scotches will start tasting more, especially like your higher end, more expensive Scotches like you get from maybe Compass Box or something like that. They're going to almost start working into more dominant flavors, a lot like you get with a single malt. But yeah, a lot of people find single malts more appealing than blended. But I personally can find it doesn't bother me to do blended Scotches. I kind of like a blended Scotch, and it has its place just like a great single malt does. So, single malts tend to be more strong in their flavors, and they follow a more intense flavor profile than a blended Scotch does.
Right. Well, and you could look at it like certain single malts might be a little bit more one-dimensional, whereas you have these blended Scotches where you're taking different types of Scotch and kind of, putting them together. Like, for example, Buchanan's Deluxe is the best blended Scotch that I've had. Obviously, I don't have a bottle of the Johnny Walker Blue lying around like somebody does, but the Buchanan's was an excellent blended Scotch, and for $32.99 or $34.99, the quality that you get, I mean, I have not found a blended Scotch that's on that level. And then like some of the single malt stuff is good too, but it's different. Like the Bunnahabhain, the Bunnahabhain, however you say that.
Hey, wait. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to get going because I got to go walking and stop raining.
Okay, well,
Valentine, 17-year age. Oh my goodness. What now? What were you gonna say?
I was going to say we've been going almost an hour. We can wrap it up really quick. Let me just that way you don't have to hop off. I'll go back to the chat for just a second. Let's see. Trish is talking about she would be up for an evening edition of Stout Sunday. Trish, if you want to do it, and it seems like there's some interest in it, I will do it. We can do 7 Eastern, 7:30 Eastern. Let me know. Commerce Ozzy's talking about Great Lakes Brewing Company, which we don't get here. The Blackout Stout, 9.9% Imperial Stout. Okay, he says
that's in Cleveland, I think. I think that's Cleveland.
Yeah, they are. We don't get their beers anymore.
And then Trish is talking about her first stout was Java Head Coffee Stout by Trogs. It was phenomenal. And then she's talking about Trish the Dish is making her famous. Yeah, it's good stuff, Trish. Jean Pierre is in the chat, says, hey guys, it's raining in Mobile. It is also raining here in Georgia. It's kind of a crappy day. Trish agrees with me that the Telly Porter was her favorite. We've got Jeremy, Jean. Everybody's kind of chatting back and forth. Jean is drinking a Coors Light. And then Jeremy's talking about doing a Stout Sunday evening edition as well. I'll do it. I'll do a Stout Sunday evening edition. We'll plan on 7 Eastern. If anybody out there is still watching and is interested, 7 Eastern. If that doesn't work, y'all know how to contact me on Hangouts, and we'll try to make it work. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks to Michael Kormeroff. Thanks to Robert the Whiskey Scout. Thanks to Ron Ontario from Louisiana Beer Reviews. Appreciate it, as always. Another great Stout Sunday in the books. Thanks to everybody in the chat for commenting and hanging out with us this morning. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Hopefully the weather's not too bad where you guys are, because it's not very good here. And until next time, everybody, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
All right.
Mine's gone.
See y'all later. I gotta go.
All right.